Normally when I record these videos, I'm not wearing pants, but the cold weather has forced me to take drastic measures. Also, normally I pair my top 10 cards from an upcoming set with the full set list. Well, Ascended Heroes is a little different. Not only is it a special set, but it's a special set with a horrible release schedule. Previously, we expected the Larry's and Erica's 2-pack collections to launch on January 30th, but retailers across the world have reported delays of a month, meaning product will be hard to come by. It also means the only 2 products available on day 1 will be these 3-pack sticker collections featuring Charmander and Ghastly. Then on February 20th, you'll be able to get your feet on the Larry and Erica's collections plus the 9-pack ETBs and 2-pack mini-tins. So it's almost like February 20th is the true release date for the set. All of this is a long-winded way of saying that the reason I haven't posted a full set list yet is that there isn't one. I can make an educated guess like I'm trying to guess a woman's weight before deciding to date them, but with so many reissues mixing with the new cards, getting the 217 card set list perfect won't be possible. Instead of waiting any longer though, I decided to bequeath upon you the top 10 best cards in Ascended Heroes now because I want the views, damn it. Just like to slowpoke, this one's a no-brainer. PokePad is far and away the best card in Ascended Heroes and will likely be one of the top 5 cards released in all of 2026. Play it, put any non-rulebox Pokemon from your deck into your hand, whether it's a basic Stage 1 or Stage 2. Free search of this magnitude rarely happens, so when it does, you gotta appreciate it. For those who don't know, in our current standard format, a non-rulebox Pokemon is someone who only gives up a single prize, not the 2 or 3 seen on EXs. Things get a little muddier and expanded when it comes to things like Radiance and Prisms, but no one plays expanded anymore, so don't worry about it. It's hard to properly explain just how good PokePad is. Literally any deck that has a Stage 1 or Stage 2 non-rulebox Pokemon benefits from this thing. Looking at Dragapult Dusknoir for example, this one card can find you a Dreepy, Dracloak, Duskull, Dusclops, Dusknoir, Badoo, or Hawlucha for free. Elsewhere, Slowking will love this as it can put a Kyurem or any other attacker directly into your hand for Seek Inspiration. Baby Bloodmoon Ursaluna is also improved by PokePad since it has to be placed from hand onto the bench to accelerate energy. Mega Lucario, meanwhile, who's shaping out to be pretty good post-rotation, can use PokePad for any of its basics, or Harry Mama, who uses as a free boss's orders. Considering that Nestball and Artisan and even Mesagoza are rotating at the end of March, PokePad becomes an extremely important consistency card. If you're not already preparing to buy 4 of these IRL, you should before scalpers start to realize their value. As for TCG Live players, you'll get 4 for free for simply logging in between January 29th and March 26th. Taking a huge number 2, we have a card that single-footedly ensures that N Zoroark EX will be a relevant deck up until the moment it rotates in a couple of years. While there is a shred attack that Zoroark can copy to deal with Mimikyu and a few others, the real showcase is Rampaging Thunder. It's a simple 250 damage with the only caveat being that Zoroark can't attack the following turn, which is fine because you play Pecharunt EX in N's Castle. Pecharunt's a big piece of this winning puzzle because it can poison Zoroark, thus activating Binding Mochi, which increases the damage to 290. Slap down to Gravity Mountain, you're knocking out Dragapult. Along with Zekrom, you'll still play a copy of Reshiram, who allows Zoroark to swing for 400 or more damage if, say, a Mega Kangaskhan hits it for 200 or 250. Add Darmanitan to the mix with its 90-90 spread attack to deal with low HP basics, now Zoroark can cover all the bases like it just hit a walk-off homer. Ultimately, Zekrom is the missing link for an N Zoroark deck, turning it into something I won't be able to embarrass every time I face it on stream. Our first Mega on the list, Froslass, can be absolutely devastating if your opponent thinks they're merely facing off against a Baby Froslass deck. That's because for a single water, it does 50 damage times the number of cards in your opponent's hand. 6 is 300 damage, enough to one-shot every naked non-evolved Pokemon. And 7 is dealing with pretty much everybody else. Considering that Lilies gives your opponent as much as a hand of 8, if they only play 1 card from that, well, you're swinging for 350. Another funny thing is that Mega Froslass gives up 3 prizes. So in certain situations, letting 1 get knocked out could lead you to victory, as those 3 cards they take is another 150 damage for a backup Froslass. There's 2 ways to run Mega Froslass EX. First is a copy or 2 in Froslass Munkidori Badoo with 4 Snorunt. The deck's annoying regardless, but adding somebody who can take one-shots puts it over the edge. Otherwise, cram it in Grimmsnarl. You will have to run Luminous or a basic water to actually attack with Froslass, but it's worth it due to the surprise factor, which is a much less successful spin-off of Fear Factor. Since we're danger close to rotation in 2 months, I factored that into my decision like a meal delivery service that will probably never sponsor me because they don't offer chicken feet. Ability Pokemon are shaping up to be heavily played post-rotation for card draw due to the loss of Ino. So things like Pheasantipity and the upcoming Meowth will be everywhere. Those both have abilities, making them easy prey for Baby Froslass. And when they least expect it, slap a Mega Froslass on the table, clap their cheeks, and win the game. You probably forgot this card was coming out, didn't you? I'll freely admit that there's an Area 0 size gap between the first 3 cards and the rest of the top 10. Sure, Spectrier is useful and makes Gardevoir better, but it's just a single copy added to existing lists and it only helps Gardevoir who's rotating in 2 months. While not a must-have in every Gardevoir list, Spectrier is able to snipe 12 damage counters anywhere on the field, all for 3 Psychic. At pretty much any other point in the history of the TCG, losing 3 energy after beating off a Phantom would be a bad thing. In Gardevoir, it's a positive, because then you can re-accelerate the energy onto the Ghost Horse, send the damage to their side of the field with Monkey Dory, and make your PTCGL opponent hate life as they're held hostage for 5 minutes each turn. Another nice benefit with Spectrier is that it one-shots Badoo early for a single Psychic and survives a hit from Solrock. But the better thing is that it deals with Shaman. If they try to get cute and block Screamtail with Shaman, Spectrier gets rid of it. Plus, if they're trying to play Hide the Pickle with a Terra like Teal Mask Oderpon, you can place 12 damage counters on it, then finish it up with Monkey Dory Pains later. Basically, this card makes Gardevoir better, which is terrible news for anyone wishing to get away from it. Just because it's not as sexy as its evolution doesn't mean it's not a great card. Remember, I'm basing this list on the top 10 best cards from a competitive standpoint using data from Japanese tournaments plus my own biases. And you can't argue that the new 70 hit point Snorunt isn't a highly playable card. I mean, it immediately replaces the 60 HP Snorunt in every Froslass deck going forward. The 10 extra hit points means you have a slight cushion against Dragapult while playing Grimmsnarl Froslass. And let's be honest, that's about the only thing the new Snorunt has going for it. Chilly Willy only does 10 damage. That's nothing. But as we centimeter closer to the age of Dragapult come this March, which will be much worse than that Blake Lively movie, yet better than Age of Ultron, 70 hit point basics become much more valuable. Purely based on playability, Light Ball is the 6th most bestest card coming in Ascended Heroes. Except, again, you just add a single copy to an existing deck and call it a day. With Light Ball, simply attach it to a Pikachu EX, now its attacks deal 50 more damage to your opponent's active EX. While there are like 4 different Pikachu EX in Standard, you only care about the Terra one. Previously, the Jolted Box deck would struggle a bit against higher HP evolution decks, relying on Iron Hands to take multiple prizes against their weaker basics and stage 1s. By playing with your balls lightly, Pikachu can now deal 350 damage to Dragapult, Charizard, and Gardevoir, one-shotting them and potentially turning the tide of battle. And in 2 months when rotation hits, Pikachu will still be able to deal with not only Dragapult, but pretty much every 2 and 3 prizer that's not a stage 2. Though the loss of Iron Hands will take away its good matchup against single prize decks. Coming in 7th, we have Nighttime Mine, which some might argue is far too low on this list. Don't get me wrong, it's an extremely powerful card. But if Battle Cage taught me anything, it's that Dragapult will always have a jamming tower in their hand to counter your annoying stadium. If Nighttime Mine is able to stick though, it increases the attack cost of every Terra Pokemon by 1 colorless energy. The top decks affected by this will be Dragapult, Cerulege, Charizard, anything running Ogerpon, and anything with a Terra Evolution in it. This could be devastating for Cerulege since they play so few stadiums. And even if they do run a stadium or 2, it might get milled in an effort to fill their distro pile with energy. Charizard doesn't really care though because its ability accelerates 3 energy. But Dragapult could miss a Phantom Dive, which would be huge. Again though, they'll always find their stupid jamming tower when they need it. So while the effect of Nighttime Mine is strong, the fact that it's so easily bumpable like a volleyball and only affects a few of the top decks in Standard means it's not going to knock Dragapult off its pedestal as an S-tier deck. Let's be honest, at this point I could pretty much include any semi-playable card from Ascended Heroes to round out the top 10. Looking towards Japan for guidance, it's actually Mega Charizard YEX that deserves the 8th spot. You were probably hoping to see Megas Meganium or Feraligatr or Emboar or Electros or Dragonite or Scrafty or Harlucha or Audino on this list, but even if you combined all of those, they barely have the same amount of success as Charizard Y. Marking the 4th multi-prize Charizard in Standard, despite us having no single-prize Charizard, the new Mega does a simple 280 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for 2 fire and a colorless. You do have to discard 3 energy in the process, but that's where a spicy Ignition energy comes in. Use Terra Charizard to accelerate 2 fire to Megazard Y, attach an Ignition, explode all over them, then do it again the following turn if the Mega survives. You will probably have to use Pidgeot to find the Ignition, but since Megazard can snipe, you won't have to worry about looking for a bosses that turn. As for who Mega Charizard Y helps out against, well, ironically, Pidgeot EX is one of them. It's a perfect KO there. Same with Mega Absol EX. It can also deal with any weak bench sitters like Fezandipity or Latios or Mew if it's towards the end of a game and you're out of Gust cards. Megazard Y is not the strongest card ever printed, but used correctly it can help secure a few more wins before Terrazard and Pidgeot rotate in 2 months. After that though, Charizard might have some rough times. Sure, Oricorio EX still exists for energy acceleration, but Charizard won't have a 2-prizer to rely on. So you have to get a Megazord into play and hope they can't one-shot it while you discard a ton of energy in a format that won't have superior energy retrieval. Like we were all hit with a Psybeam, there was some confusion around the Stunfisk, which I'll place in the 9th hole. The original translation said the plus 100 damage only applied to Stunfisk itself. But then Limitless came out and said the defending Pokemon takes 100 more damage the following turn from anybody, in addition to not being able to retreat. Assuming that's correct, this card's kinda busted. Put it in any lightning deck and you won't have to worry about whiffing electric generators on turn 1 nearly as much. Simply hit them for 30 damage with Jumping Trap, preventing them from going anywhere. Sure, they might knock out your Stunfisk on their turn, but you can then come in swinging with Iron Hands, who will now deal 220 damage with Amp You Very Much, or 240 if you attach a Future Booster. In addition to finding a home in Mega Dragonite and Mega Manectric decks as something to do on turn 1, Stunfisk also helps Mega Lopunny. Unfortunately, there is a downside to the thing that I just learned has an exclamation point on its body. If they use a Switch card or Evolve, the Retreat Lock and plus 100 damage goes away. But if they have a big basic in front, like say Mega Kangaskhan, it's not going anywhere. And the following turn, Mega Lopunny can hit it for 330 with Gale Thrust. Just keep in mind that Jet Energy rotates in March, so Lopunny might not be as strong in 2 months. There's a world where Mega Dragonite takes the 10th spot, but I want to masterfully bait you into angrily commenting about my choices. So I'll switch things up and put Terra Koraidon EX here. Don't worry, I actually have a good reason for choosing Koraidon, and the reason is you. I mean, the reason is a kangaroo. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out the previous turn by damage from an attack, or a Calicum in my pants does 170 damage hitting for a fighting weakness. Kangaskhan, along with Mega Lopunny and a few others, just so happen to be weak to fighting. Now, if 2 Bouffalants are in play or Kangaskhan has a Bravery Charm attached that's out of range, but if that's the case, you can always impactfully blow them. Despite not doing much in Japan at first, Koraidon has seen some first and second place finishes lately. The most obvious pairing is with a Terra Box deck. It's crazy to say for a card coming out in 2026, but Koraidon can utilize Sparkling Crystal to reduce its attack cost by 1. Or just go with Crispin or Teal Masked Ogerpon Energy Switch. In addition to a single copy being put into Golden Doe Lunatone Solrock, Koraidon also works with Armor Rouge Box. That deck tries to hit for all the weaknesses, and Koraidon gives it a good fighter. Post-rotation, Koraidon's usefulness doesn't really change. Mega Audino could see a rise in play due to the loss of Turbo Energize, giving you another fighting weak Mega to feast on. And Fezandipity will be everywhere, giving you an easy 2 prizes. For a bonus 11th entry in the top 10, we have Psyduck. No, you're not going crazy. Well, I mean, maybe you are, you have watched a single YouTube video this long. But until now, the only way to get your feet on the Psyduck to shut off your opponent's Dusknoir was to either go back in time and pick up the short stock blister pack or pay $10 to $15 for a single copy. Now it's simply a common in a set that will be open like crazy, changing it from a $15 card to maybe a 15-cent card in the next month. So if you waited this long to buy Psyduck, congratulations, you're smarter than the rest of us. As for TCG Live players, the change isn't as drastic. Instead of costing 400 credits to craft, it'll be 40. Oh, and the Golduck isn't going to be nearly as important come March. Klefki's the counter for Psyduck right now, except that has a G in the bottom left, meaning it's gone in 2 months. Speaking of cards going down in price, Fezandipity EX will also be reissued in Ascended Heroes. So if you haven't bought one IRL yet, there should be another price drop coming soon. As you've seen throughout this video, in terms of top-end competitive cards, Ascended Heroes is lacking, which isn't really surprising. After all, it's a special set with a ton of reissues. But it will still change the landscape of Standard in these 2 months ahead of rotation, especially with the introduction of PokePad. I've yapped long enough, so let me know your most anticipated card from Ascended Heroes below.